My name's Steve, and this is a little kind of a walk around of the Porsche that's currently on Bring a Trailer. Just wanted to start on the outside here. Just key works. There's 2 keys that'll come with it. Door locks work. Everything works like normal. Get in here. One thing I wanted to show. So, just like any other Porsche of this generation, turn the key on. Everything kind of goes. We've got a little display here. Crank the starter. So I want to go over the failure indicator right here. So it says oil pressure. So what's wrong is the stock oil pressure gauge here does not work because of the upgraded oil pump and the oil pressure it runs. It was freaking out the stock oil pressure gauge. It just wasn't very happy with what was going on. So we have an aftermarket oil pressure gauge run in, and that actually runs down here on this gauge panel. So if you see right here, this is oil pressure, running 90 pounds of pressure. This is like your information hub for everything you want to know. We got water temperature here, oil temperature here. That's circled in yellow because it's not yet above, I think it's 160, so the car won't rev above 4,000 until you get above 160 oil temp. This kind of tells you everything that you need to know about the car. Oxygen sensor, lambda readings, intake temperature, turbo pressure, mile per hour, RPM. It just kind of tells you everything about it. But so back to this gauge here, that's going to come up every time you start. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it, but once you clear it like that, there's no indicators or warnings or anything like that. Everything else works as normal on the car. So now we'll go on a short drive. So I just want to give a talk. When I started the video, the rear trunk was just open. That's why that's there. But as you can see, all the lights work on the dash. Everything works normal. There's no airbag warning lights. Parking brake light works. Everything's just normal. Stereo works just fine. The rear wing obviously doesn't. Stock PSM does work. That's something that needs to be turned off in this car if you're really going to drive it hard. With the ECU, it can override the ECU and create some issues. But yeah, I got shift light set up here that comes up. It's set to build up like a race car as you come up, and we'll just kind of go on a short drive now, just to kind of show you what's going on. Some gearbox noise in this car because of the gearbox build. It's cold right now, but so like when you get into 3rd gear, you're going to hear some whining. That's because of the straight cut gears that are in the gearbox. Just nothing you can do about it, but it quiets down. 3rd and 5th are straight cut because they tend to have a big torque load that goes through them. But as you can see, I mean, we're doing 46 miles an hour in 6th gear at 1400 RPM. Just put your foot down and it just accelerates away like a normal Porsche. Just a very easy driving car. A little bit of a pull here. Just kind of a light pull on a lower power map just because we're out here in traffic, but yeah, I mean, it's just an absolute monster anytime. So that's on about 850 horsepower, somewhere right around there. So because of the engine build, idle speeds around 1100, that's just where we have it. To do an oil level check like a stock car, we'll show you here in a bit. There's a knob in the center console that changes the power maps and also has a low idle map for doing an oil level check, just like a stock car. Just kind of want to show some of the drivability. Just kind of sit here and, you know, we got the AC blowing cold, and we got the radio. Radio works. There is a Bluetooth wired in. They got a switch back here to turn it on so you can wire Bluetooth to your phone so you can play songs and stuff like that. Just a very well behaved car. Or even just cruising around, going to lunch or driving out. Like I said, the straight cut gears are a little actually live with on a daily basis. So that's why I did the exhaust the way we did. So another thing I wanted to show on this, which is really cool, so on your display here, you know, you got your oil pressure, fuel pressure, you also have your ethanol content. Right now we're at 79.5, which is pretty good. Street power, the high horsepower is anything above E70, otherwise the car will automatically start dropping down as you get power up. Next thing I want to show, so this is where you change your maps for the different horsepower maps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 5 maps on it, and map 8 is the low idle for checking oil level. Now, so the way that you know what map you're on without putting your head over and looking down the center console is you look at a tachometer here. So right now we're on map 1. As I switch to map 2, you'll see the tachometer go up to 2 and then back down to show RPM. Go to map 3, it goes up to map 3 for a brief second, map 4, etc. And then you go back down to 1, and it kind of goes down to 1. So that's just a cool feature, so you know what map you're on. The other thing we did is the horn works, but the horn is wired to this button. So what we have the horn button wired to now, you can see the tachometer swings over to it actually goes to 9 if it had a 9. But so this is a rolling anti-lag button. So if you're cruising along and you know if you're at a race at an event, let's say, and the starting speed is 70 miles an hour and you want to be at 4,000 RPM, you get in the gear you want, you hold this down and you just floor the throttle. It'll take it up to 4,000 or 4,200 RPM, whatever the speed is. It'll hold it at that speed and build boost pressure. So as soon as you release the horn button, the car just takes off and you have a race going on.